Honestly, this should be called, Can I Remember the Premise of Every Book I Read in January? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my January wrap up. Now this month, I am proud. Your girl is so proud because on average, I usually read 5 books, but never have I ever read 9 books in a month. Now, I will say it's because I changed things up a little bit and my goal this year was to have less screen time. So I have been blocking my socials and only having them for 2 hours a day, which has helped tremendously. Turns out if you're not scrolling on TikTok all day, you actually read a lot. Now, out of the 9 books, I do want to start doing a winner and a loser for the month. So this month's loser was Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. And the winner, drumroll everybody, was Releasing 10. I do also want to preface, even if I say a book is a loser, doesn't mean I completely, absolutely hated it. It was just my least favorite of the month. Now let's get into everything I read this month. I started off the month with Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden. We are following, I don't know this lady's name anymore, following Quinn. Now Miss Quinn has done the unthinkable. She has murdered her husband. Now she is on the runaway. She is trying to flee and make a new life for herself until a snowstorm hits and she has to take refuge in this little hotel in the middle of nowhere. Now she thinks, I'm just gonna stay here overnight and then in the morning we are going to book it out of here. Well, the hotel isn't what she thought it was and she has to pretty much survive the night. Now, at the beginning, this did feel very reminiscent of The Housemaid, but the further we got along, the further it kind of differentiated itself. I did give this a 3.75. It was fast-paced. It was a quick thriller, a quick fix. I did listen to this on audio. Honestly, such a fast, quick read. I read it in under a day. It was interesting. It kept my attention. It kept me wanting to know more. I did not guess. The plot twist really had me gagged at the end. Now, is it the best thriller I've ever read? No. Will I be recommending this? Yes, it was such a quick, easy read. If you're in a slump and you need something fast to kind of just keep your brain going, this is definitely it. Highly, highly recommend. All the characters from this motel were very likable, very suspicious. And Quinn herself, she was a little ditzy, but I feel like that comes with the territory of being a main character in a thriller, in my opinion. But moving on. Then I did pick up I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Now, at the beginning of this month, I did do a little reading vlog, reading only nonfiction. So if you guys want to see my more in-depth thoughts, y'all can always watch that. Now, I'm Glad My Mom Died is Jeanette McCurdy's memoir. I also listened to this on audio. She is the actual narrator. Now, I will not rate this since it was a memoir and it feels kind of wrong to rate someone's life and someone's tragedy, but it does struggle with mental health as well as eating disorders. I think it was a very well written. This is a bingeable book, a book that you will not want to put down. I think once again, I finished this in under a day because I could not put it down. Like I was finding things to do. Like I was like, oh, cool, let's clean the windows. Like I was finding every excuse just to keep listening to this book. She does an amazing job narrating this. Highly, highly recommend. If you were a fan of hers growing up, if you saw her on Sam and Cat or not Victoria's Girl, or iCarly, I highly recommend if you have followed her at all. After reading this, it makes me happy every time I see her in an interview or doing anything. I'm like, you go girl, she's making it. It made me honestly a bigger fan of hers. Now for that same video, I also did read Beautiful Boy. Now I did read this physically. Once again, I'm not going to rate it because it is someone's life and someone's memoir. Now this is following a father who has a teenage son who is addicted to drugs, and their journey on how that started and trying to heal and just all the ups and downs of having someone in your life be an addict. This really read off as a father doing research to try to better his son. I wish it was a little bit more character-based and more what the characters, which are not really characters, this was his real life. I feel like that's a change I have to like think about when I read memoirs, but I wish it was following more on that aspect and less research based. I understand why he put in so much statistics and so much studies, completely understand why, but I would have loved to read something more character based and more emotional based, which it was an emotional read. I just think that there was a lot of research and a lot of statistics that can kind of put you off halfway through because you're just jumping from something you want to read, like what's going on in that situation, what these people are going through, and then it jumps straight into like facts for like pages. But it was still really good, very informative, very eye-opening, and scary to think about as a parent that this can be something that your kids go through, and I'm terrified. Are my kids anywhere near the age of them even trying or thinking about drugs? No, but I'm still scared. It did what it needed to. It terrified me. I also did watch the movie that went along with that, and good movie. Is it like the book? I feel like not really. But I also have heard that there is different books, and I think the son has a book based off of his story, like what he went through while he was on the drugs, and I think maybe they pulled a little from there. But Timothée Chalamet's in it, and so is Michael Scott, which is not his real name. What is his name? Steve Carell is in it, and they did wonderful. I didn't think that Steve Carell was going to pull it off, just because every time you hear Steve Carell, he's a funny, funny man. I was like, how is this man going to be serious? That man can't be serious to save his life, but he did a really good job. I'll give him that. After that, we got back into fantasy, and I did read you guys' suggestions, and one of you guys suggested to read One Dark Window, so I did that. This was also an audiobook. I did give this a 3.5. Now, in One Dark Window, we are following Elsbeth. Now, Elsbeth has a little secret. She has a monster in her head. That's right. A whole monster. So when Elsbeth is met with this handsome highwayman who is asking for her help, things just start to unravel. And I believe that's the best I could describe it, because this has such an original plot point and magic system that I can't even begin to really get into it without spoiling anything. So I hope to God that made sense to you guys, because I don't think that made that much sense to me, but we're going to keep it moving. And I also listened to this. The audiobook was really good. It was dual narration. Is it like one of my top tier fantasies? No. I feel like there was some times where I was just getting a little sidetracked from what was going on, and a lot of times that I had to go back and kind of be like, what is going on? And that could totally be a me thing. However, this was in no way, shape, or form bad. This was, in my opinion, it was such a good fantasy, and I highly recommend it to people who are looking for like dark academia vibes, funny vibes. Elsbeth does have this monster in the inside of her head that just reminded me so much of Venom. I really enjoyed myself reading this book and listening to this book, but it's just not like my top favorite fantasy. After One Dark Window, I started The Housemaid's Secret. Now, this is a continuation to The Housemaid. We are still following Millie and her journey in life. And I fear that's all I can say, because A, it's a thriller, and B, it's a continuation. So I can't really like speak about it without getting into the plot of The Housemaid. But that's not here nor there. Now, this book, not a fun time. Not a fun time. I gave this a 2.5. I hate Millie. That girl is as dumb as a rock. And that's saying a lot coming from me, because I am also dumb as a rock, but that girl has no common sense. Not one. She has no common sense. You could literally tell her, hey, can you just walk down the street with me? I promise I won't harm you. And she'd do it. after everything she lived through. You would think she knows better, but she doesn't. And I think that that is the biggest reason why I rated this so low and why I didn't have such a fun time was because I hated being in that woman's head. I hated it. First of all. Second of all, every plot twist I saw coming. That was the most predictable Frida book I have ever read in my life. And I am astonished that she has continued this. Why? Why are we doing that? The Housemaid was perfect. Perfect on its own. Thrillers should not be a series. Unless it's like a detective and the detective goes looking for different cases. I understand that. But this, I expected so much more and I was so let down. Next, I read Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. This was, once again, a dud. I hated this book with my entire being. I rated this a 1 star and I can count on my hand how many 1 stars I've given out, and it's less than 3, I believe. And this is a lucky number 2 or 3. Because this was atrocious. Before I get into that spiel, Half His Age is following Waldo, and she is a 16-year-old girl who is in love with her professor. Not only is she in love with her teacher, she also establishes a relationship with said teacher. This was gruesome, disgusting, atrocious. It was just everything I didn't need. It reminded me so much of Tampa reversed. At least for Tampa, I feel like, personally, at the end, it was a very shocking end and kind of like, wow, this happens every day. The consequences for this is very similar to what happens in real life, and it's kind of very eye-opening. Although I still hated Tampa and it was still a 1 star because it's disgusting. I still understood it. I understood conversations that were going to be had. Now, with Half His Age, kind of the same premise, kind of the same idea where, and I'm saying this verbatim, she said that this was about female rage. She wanted to spark up those conversations. I understand how that can spark up those conversations, but I just don't see the female rage in this. This was definitely a high school girl who was infatuated with her teacher, and I just don't understand. Maybe it's me, and you guys let me know down below if you've read it too. I don't understand how this is about women empowerment and woman rage, and I just don't get it. And I was so excited for this book. Like, I was so ready. Like I said, I read her memoir earlier that month and made me so proud of her and gave me a deeper look into her life. So it made me want to support her even more. And this, it just didn't hit for me. It was atrocious. The period scene, if you guys have read this book, one of the most vile and disgusting things that I have ever read in my entire life. And this is coming from someone who loves gory shit and loves a good dark romance. But this, absolutely, I would recommend this to no one. Now, will I probably still read books that she publishes in the future? Probably, because I just love her. Does this hurt my heart to say this because she is so proud of this book? Yes. I wanted to like this so much. I really thought this was going to be going in a different direction, since she was saying that this book was going to spark up conversations about women's rage and women's empowerment and all these extra stuff. It just did not hit for me. And if it hit for y'all please let me know. Like, I want to understand. I really do. And maybe I'm just, once again, dumb as a rock and don't get premises of things, but this was not a fun read at all. I literally wanted to stab myself in the ear while I was listening to this book. Like, I did. No, girl, no. Also, I did want to mention, I did listen to this, and she is once again the narrator to this. And I think that made me a little confused. Not confused, but like it didn't separate her from Waldo. So it just felt like I was listening to more of her memoir. I know that's incorrect. I know that she didn't live this, but it did. Like, I guess since it was her voice, I don't know. I just couldn't undo that connection. Next, a book I rated 5 stars, and that is Taming 7. I love Gerard Gibson. I love Claire Bear. I love them together. I love the world of Boys of Tommen. I am in shock that you guys say that this is your least favorite book from the Boys of Tommen. We are following Gerard Gibson and Claire Bear, which are best friends since they have been literally born. Their moms are best friends and they have been in each other's lives forever. Now, unfortunately for Gibbsy, he does lose his sister and his father in a accident, and that makes them pretty much trauma bond. But this was so beautiful. So I loved it. I loved it, and no one can change my opinion. I did, once I finished, look into the comments and the reviews, and I understand why you guys didn't love it as much because there was a lot of side characters. So I do get that. I just wanted more of Claire and Gibbsy, and I get that because I too, but there was not a moment that I was not having the time of my life reading this, so I cannot justify giving it any less than a 5-star. I love seeing all the other characters. I love how Johnny and Shannon are doing, and Aoife and Joey, and I literally feel like I'm a part of their family, and I just want to be sucked into this book so hard. I loved it. This, out of all of Chloe Walsh's books from the Boys of Tommen, I haven't read any other ones, was such a backwards dynamic because usually there is a lot of pain and a lot of darkness and a lot of hurt and very little like sunshine. But I feel like this was the opposite. There was a lot of sunshine and a lot of laughter and a lot of happy moments. And then there was some very like deep and depressing things. And I just loved it. I love his humor. He is by far the funniest person I know, and I don't even know him like that. I just love him so much. I want to give him a hug, and I want him to just be my friend. Like, be my friend. Be real first, but can I join your group? I just want to be a part of their group. And it's not fair that they're not real. This is injustice. Anyways, before I get wrapped up into that, I absolutely loved it. I feel like that's all I can say. I loved it so much. And if you have not read The Boys of Tommen, please read The Boys of Tommen. That is one of my top tier series, and if you have not read it, please, I'm begging you. Like, I'll do anything to get anybody on this train. Moving on. Then I read Love, Mom. This was actually one of our book club books for a book club me and my sister-in-laws have together. I gave this a solid 3.5. We are following Mackenzie. Now, Mackenzie's mom dies. Mackenzie's mom was a world-renowned thriller writer. Now, Mackenzie starts to receive these letters from her mom about her mom's life, and it kind of just spirals into that, and then the thread starts to unravel. But it took me about probably like 20 to 30% of the way to actually start to get invested and be like, what is going on here? But I did not see any of it coming. It was a total shock to me. It was a really good thriller. I would definitely recommend. Not the best thing I've read, but it was definitely a good one. And I love just being able to like chit chat with my sister-in-laws and be like, did that just happen? Did that just happen? Because obviously with thrillers, I feel like you can't really talk about it unless that person has read it or they're actively reading it. So that was fun. But yeah, it was pretty good. Don't hate it. I liked it. I feel like that's all I can say. Definitely love that little mini love interest. And the ending was super cute and super flabbergasting. Like the ending, till the end, there was a plot twist. Like you thought it was ending. No, there's more. So it was good. It was a fun read. And lastly, our last book of the month, Releasing 10. This book gutted me. This is obviously a 5-star. If I could give it infinity stars, I would. We are following Lizzie and Huey and their story. This is their story from years old to almost present time. Chloe Walsh, I have it out for you right now. Me and you are not on the best terms right now, but this is a continuation of The Boys of Tommen. This is the last published book that she has. There will be more coming. She's just making us wait forever. Like, I just need this book now. Oh, I need this book so much right now. Anyways, this was so good. It deals with very, very heavy trauma and very touchy subjects. So if you're going to read this book, please read the trigger warnings. It was amazing. It was very well done. This is also something that Chloe Walsh has openly spoken about, saying that this is something that she has gone through herself and that she is writing this book through experience. This book was so good, so heartbreaking. Like, I'm getting chills talking about this book. This book changed my opinion on Lizzie. Last book, I was like, fuck Lizzie Young. She can go suck it. And this definitely made me be like, I'm so sorry, Lizzie, that I ever said that about you. And this just tore me apart. Piece by piece, the world is such an unjust place. A for her, B for him, C for myself, because Chloe Walsh, where's the next book? And I swear to Jesus, if the next book is not Lizzie and Huey's story, I will end it all and just never wake up again. Because I am terrified of her saying they're going in chronological order and we will not be getting their book until 2 books later. I'm terrified of that happening because I cannot get them out of my mind. I have finished that book and I have thought about them every single day of my life. As I said previously with Gipsy and Claire's book, it was very sunshine and small amount of darkness. This is completely opposite, and it is majority amount of darkness and very small sunshines. But those small sunshine moments were healing my heart, and I just feel for them so much. And the end of that book had me sobbing for, I kid you, 20 minutes. Like, it was ridiculous. And it was so ridiculous because it does not end how you think it's gonna end. And while reading the end, I was like, how are people sobbing over this? And then I literally read maybe the last page and I was in tears. I was gutted. I was crying out of frustration at that point because what do you mean I can't continue? What do you mean this is all you're giving me? What do you mean? And now I must book a flight immediately to Ireland just to see maybe I can find them. Just maybe I can find these fictional characters in Ireland because I need something. I need a Boys of Tommen fix. I have never wanted to just turn around and restart a book so bad in my life like I have every time I finish a Boys of Tommen book. So if you guys have any recommendations to cure this Boys of Tommen slump, that you just want to read something that gives you that same feeling, please let me know down below. I need your recommendations right now. I need you. I need you, and now's the time. But yes, that is it for today. I am so incredibly proud of myself for reading 9 books this month. Your mama was right. The phone is the problem. I would love to know how many books you guys read this month. Which one was your favorite? Which one was your least favorite? You guys let me know. I always love to hear from you guys. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye!